Morning, everyone. It's Thursday. We're getting there, right? It has been an interesting week. I have had some really cool, clear messages come through, and I've been able to write some things. I'm noticing that I'm not able to type nearly as fast as the information can come through sometimes. Things are speeding up in some ways. Next week will be better. I'll have a little bit of time. But so today's card is Sage of Higher Knowledge. So I pulled the card first, and then I went into my Celtic devotional book and I found the theme for the day, and the theme is, are you fulfilling your spiritual vocation? So I had to sit with that for a little bit. What is going on? And it's interesting that the book talks about the Sage of Higher Knowledge. Isn't that a beautiful card? I love that it's got an owl on it, because owl is change, and owl is accepting new information in and accepting your journey. And it's also sharing you the knowledge that change is not always comfortable, and change can come in a place where it seems like it's darkness. If you look, there's a dark background. It doesn't mean that change is bad, and it doesn't mean that change is supposed to be comfortable or feel good to start with. Learning is hard sometimes. Learning is an upward struggle, right? And there's a lot of people that get, and I've had some reminders of that recently. You know, I specialized when I was in college in diversified learning styles. It's a passion. I love to research the brain and how does the brain work and why do we learn the way we do, and I love anything that has to do with brain science. I will watch a 40-minute YouTube video of intellectual people talking about how the brain works, and the amygdala and all the pieces of the brain. Okay? And I forget that there are people who don't understand how people learn. I forget that. I genuinely forget that. Because to me, it's how I look at everything. Every time I teach, but I'm a teacher. Like in everything I've ever done, I've always taken what I know and turned around and taught it. It's just who I am. And I learn differently than other people do. I really struggled in school in some things. Like, on one hand, I have this ridiculously high intelligence quotient based on these fancy tests. But then on the other side, I can't pass a basic math class, or I get a really bad grade in history or English, or things that I'm very good at, but I don't pass the tests, or I don't turn in my homework, or now at a nearly 50-year-old woman, I'm realizing some of that has to do with my autism. Some of that has to do with my ADHD. And I've known since college, since I specialized in diversified learning styles, that I do not learn in a straightforward neurotypical way. And I've known that, but I didn't know why. And this week and last week has really bubbled up that my higher self, my journey, my blueprint journey, right? Sage of Higher Knowledge has kept me seeking and learning not just for myself, but for others, so I can turn around and share that information. So this card is about intuition, which is your spirit, instinct, which is your body, logic and intellect, your mind. Body, mind, spirit. And I'm going to read you what I wrote. Trusting information that is still connected to the divine feminine is often against what society or hive mind will accept as true. I've spent my whole life following my blueprint, which is not exactly what other people thought I should do or accepted what I did. Our intuition comes from the combination of connection to your higher self and the guides and helpers you have on your team in this life. Those helpers can be guides, animals, messages from Mother Earth. We all have intuition, and it's always rooted in your higher selves. Instinct, so we're on to body, is what your body tells us about a situation. Is this situation or information triggering fight or flight? Is your body responding to trauma from the past? Are we breathing? Are we keeping positive, charged nutrition in our body? There's so much our bodies can tell us, written into our DNA, passed down from our ancestors, just to help us with this journey. We chose our bodies on purpose, people. Like, this is not random. Higher knowledge that we must pay attention to what we put in our sacred altar, our body, and how we care and nurture our connection to our bodies before we can learn to listen to what it has to tell us. If you just have a trauma response and a panic response to everything, there's a disconnect between your physical self and the other bits, right? So you have to calm that trauma response. You have to work on what that is, right? And sometimes you're missing pieces, and that's okay. Logic and intellect, back to mind, are gifts from the mother and father, the ability to process, create, manifest new and wonderful things, ideas, reasoning, bringing forward and creating new. Logic and intellect are also where untangling what spirit is feeling, bringing that into actionable words and deeds, discernment in situations. Learning to understand how to blend these three aspects of our manifestation and learn to trust what fits you may not fit for someone else. But learning not to just jump away or run away when the body trauma response says run, but learning to ask questions, process, inform, grow, ask lots of questions, grow, then decide what your path is and what it is not. I have some huge trauma responses to things, but I knew that my anxiety, my trauma, my feelings needed answers, needed intellect. I researched, I studied, I asked why. And I never stopped asking why. I never stopped seeking what the answer was. And when I discovered I had autism and ADHD, decades of searching came to a place of peace in my body, and my body stopped panicking about things because now I have a reason. Now I have the intellectual information, the sciencey information, the mind information to bring that body response from a place of panic and trauma and anxiety and go, this is your reason. Now let's work on what that underlying reason does to your body, and let's learn how to work with it. I could have just run away from education. I could have just said, this is hard. But I kept asking questions. I kept asking why. Logic is learning other people's perspectives, learning more information, becoming informed, allowing new information to come in, weighing it, trusting your intuition as to what feels right over time, with more information to balance what you're feeling. Sometimes the body responses to protect, and logic goes out the window. Breathe. Breath is so important. Breath is important that you use it to center and calm the nervous system, and then allow what is right for you to come through. There is no way you are responding with a balance of your spiritual higher self and your mind if your body is in flight or fight panic. Period. You can't get there. And I know that. How do I know that? I've been there, and I've seen it over and over and over around me. If you have ever been belittled, picked on, or told you're not smart, or struggled with learning and school stuff, I caution you not to accept that. Truly, don't accept that. I'm awful in math. I have dyscalculia. But if I approach even balancing the budget or doing accounting for a business, if I'm calm and my mind is clear, it's not all that hard. But if my trauma response kicks in, oh yeah, it becomes an insurmountable obstacle. Treasure your body, treasure your connection, and treat your body as a temple and honor it with sacred love. Trust your inner spirit and your higher self. You never come into this life not prepared for the journey. I'm going to say that again. You never, ever manifest in a physical body, in a life, not prepared for your journey. You always have all that you need to do your work, every time. Your foundation stones are always there. You always have what you need to help you in your journey. And if you ask for help, Mother and Father will make sure you get it. You just have to be ready to do your part and follow through. Accept the help. Accept that there's help there. Be ready to see it and be ready to follow through. If you ask for the help and they send you help, it's your job then to follow through on it. And that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Help does not mean it's going to be easy. But you will be given what you need. And what I mean by you're never not prepared for the journey, as in you write your blueprint with helpers along the way. I wrote into my blueprint, apparently, that my brain works differently. And when I asked for help, I got it. When I was really struggling, I got it. Even if I didn't understand what I was getting. And it was hard. And I just kept doing it. Great. I'm nearly 50 and I know I have autism and ADHD. But along the way, I have gathered so much information and so many skills and so many things that I can share with other people. And one of the things will work for one person and won't work for another. And that's okay. There are a lot of really smart people out there that have gifts and talents that they think that they're broken. They think they're not smart. They think there's something wrong with them. And intelligence based on IQ doesn't mean you have all the things you need to use it. I'm never going to be Einstein. I don't want to do quadratic equations. I don't want to. I want to apply the gifts that I have to other things. That's my journey. But who's to say the person sitting next to me on the bus doesn't also have a genius IQ and is choosing to draw pictures all day long, right? Does genius IQ mean anything? No, not really. How do you use your mind? How do you commit your body and mind and your soul to your journey? And what is your journey? And what do you give back to your community? That's really what matters. It matters how you treat people with love and respect. That fancy number doesn't mean anything. It's what we do to help each other. And it's how we help ourselves on our journey to then turn around and help each other. Because we're all connected. And we're not alone. We're not an island. Today's prayer. I call upon the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. I call upon the divine grace and unconditional love of my ancestors. Cleanse my mind of fixed and unmoving opinions. Cleanse my body of fears and allow me to nourish myself intentionally. May I allow peace and the highest level of truth from my connection to the universe to sit within me. May I give and receive accurate communication in my moment-to-moment living. May the divine shine bright and help all in my world find their way. Blessed be. This is a good card today. It's bubbled up things that I've been working through this week as I'm doing my work. I had a really good conversation with someone last night about my book and some more classes that I'm going to be teaching and online teaching, and it kind of came forward very much that I know this stuff is important and I've got to work through. I know why I'm caught in my book. I know why I haven't been able to do that next step. And some of that comes from being bullied. Some of that comes from fears. And maybe they're irrational fears, but they are fears. And there is so much out in the world that is been twisted and warped out of fear and control. And the information in my book, I want to come out with grace and compassion without fear. And I have to work through my fear to get there. So this was a good card for me to remind myself that I have to focus on my sacred temple and work on my things so that I can be ready. Have a beautiful day, my friends, and I will see you in prayer. Blessed be.